At 3:47 inches the morning, the waters near the Strait of Hormuz looked completely calm. Then everything changed in seconds. American destroyers moving through the dark suddenly detected dozens of incoming signals racing from the Iranian coastline. Fast boats, attack drones, and coordinated electronic interference appeared all at once. What began as a surprise ambush quickly evolved into one of the most intense naval standoffs imaginable. The narrow corridor of Hormuz has always been one of the world's most dangerous maritime choke points. A huge percentage of global oil shipments pass through these waters every day, making the region strategically priceless. Iran's Revolutionary Guard has long relied on asymmetric tactics there, using speedboats, drones, and hidden coastal launch sites to pressure larger naval powers. On this night, a U.S. Navy formation led by the destroyers USS Mason, USS Truxtun, and USS Arleigh Burke was conducting a navigation patrol through the area. Iranian fast attack craft suddenly poured out from hidden coastal positions while waves of drones advanced overhead. Their goal was simple: overwhelm American sensors, force the destroyers closer to shore, and trap them inside overlapping missile zones. Within moments, the American ship shifted into full combat readiness. Radar systems scanned every direction, while targeting data was shared across the formation. The crews understood the danger immediately. Iran wasn't relying on one attack vector. They were combining drones, swarm boats, and electronic warfare to create confusion faster than humans could react. As the distance closed, the destroyers launched defensive interceptors to break apart the incoming drone formations. Naval guns opened fire against the leading attack boats, filling the night with explosions and tracer rounds. Still, the Iranian assault continued from multiple directions at once. Some drones dropped to extremely low altitudes, skimming just above the waves to complicate radar tracking. Here's where the battle became more than a traditional firefight. Both sides began fighting for control of the electromagnetic spectrum itself. Iranian relay systems constantly transmitted targeting information to the swarm boats, allowing them to change direction rapidly and avoid direct targeting. For a short time, the sheer volume of signals threatened to overload the American defensive network. To counter that pressure, the U.S. task force shifted tactics. One destroyer focused primarily on maintaining a stable radar picture, while the others concentrated on interception. Instead of every ship attempting to process everything simultaneously, responsibilities were divided carefully to prevent sensor saturation. Then the battle escalated again. Electronic attack aircraft launched from a nearby carrier group entered the combat zone and immediately began jamming Iranian communications. Powerful airborne systems disrupted links between coastal command centers and the attacking swarms offshore. Within seconds, drone coordination started breaking apart. Some unmanned aircraft lost synchronization entirely and crashed into the sea. The effect was dramatic. Without centralized guidance, Iranian fast boats became easier to isolate and track. American crews quickly recognized the opening and exploited it. Long-range missiles were launched against command vessels and coordination nodes operating beyond the horizon. At the same time, stealth fighters arrived overhead carrying out advanced sensor fusion operations. Instead of relying on a single radar source, the aircraft combined data from multiple platforms into one unified battlefield picture. That information was instantly distributed back to the destroyers below, dramatically improving targeting accuracy. Iran responded by activating additional coastal radar stations and surface-to-air missile systems. Heavy jamming attacks targeted American communication frequencies, temporarily disrupting the ability of the aircraft and ships to share data seamlessly. For a brief period, the battlefield became chaotic again. That moment gave Iranian swarm forces another opportunity. Hundreds of high-speed attack boats accelerated toward the destroyers from several directions simultaneously. The sheer number of incoming contacts pushed the American defenses close to saturation. Inside the combat information centers aboard the ships, crews were forced to prioritize threats in real time while missiles, drones, and fast boats converged together. Facing mounting pressure, the U.S. commander ordered a risky maneuver. The destroyers reduced speed and tightened into a compact defensive formation. Mobility was sacrificed in exchange for maximum overlapping firepower and improved radar coordination. It was a dangerous decision, but it allowed the ships to concentrate every layer of defense exactly where it was needed most. Missiles continued launching in rapid succession, while naval guns hammered the approaching swarms. Some boats still slipped through the outer defensive ring, forcing the destroyers to activate their final protective systems. Massive close-in Gatling guns erupted at incredible firing rates, creating walls of metal that shredded incoming threats at point-blank range. Even as Iran attempted to send more drones and additional attack craft into the fight, the overall coordination of the assault began collapsing. Earlier electronic disruption had fragmented the command network. Without reliable targeting updates, Iranian formations became increasingly disorganized and predictable. Once American tactical networks stabilized again, the battle shifted decisively. U.S. forces transitioned from defensive survival to organized counterattack operations. Using targeting information gathered by stealth aircraft, long-range missiles were launched directly at active radar emitters and coastal missile positions that had revealed themselves during the engagement. The strikes devastated critical sections of Iran's defensive network. Radar systems shut down, command relays were destroyed, and surviving attack boats retreated toward territorial waters in disorder. By sunrise, what had started as a coordinated, multi-layered ambush had deteriorated into scattered resistance pockets, unable to operate together effectively. But according to many analysts, the most important factor wasn't missile firepower or naval guns, it was electronic warfare. Specialized airborne jamming systems reportedly manipulated enemy radar signals in ways that created false targets across Iranian tracking screens. Operators suddenly faced overwhelming numbers of phantom aircraft and misleading contacts, forcing them to waste valuable time and missile inventory on threats that weren't even real. Imagine trying to defend your coastline while your radar insists hundreds of hostile targets are approaching from every direction. By the time crews recognized the deception, real strike assets had already identified their positions. That invisible digital battle ultimately shaped the outcome more than anything else. The confrontation demonstrated how modern warfare increasingly depends on information dominance rather than raw numbers alone. In the Strait of Hormuz, controlling signals, sensors, and communications became just as important as controlling missiles and ships. And on that night, the side that mastered the electronic battlefield gained the advantage.